Hi everyone, I'm Adut Akech and you are watching Clique Talk.
Let's go. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. You walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Hey. I gotta stay in my zone.
Adut Akech, you're one of the most wanted top models at this time in the world. You've been several times in the cover of Vogue magazine all over the world, and you've been on runways for Chanel, Saint Laurent, Chloé, Dior, Givenchy, Stella McCartney, Prada, Versace, Fendi, Isabelle Marant, Valentino, Bottega Veneta, Off-White, Hugo Boss. Can you just remind us how old you are?
I am 19 years old.
Do you ever feel tired?
Do I ever feel tired? Of course, I'm a human being. We all get to a certain, level. Yeah, get tired like everybody else.
We are meeting in the very middle of the Paris Fashion Week in September. How many runways have you already been to?
In Paris or just in general?
In Paris, just for this week.
So far, I have done, I believe, 5 shows.
How many left?
5 or 6.
How many hours of sleep have you had in the whole week?
In the whole week, I've gotten quite a few hours of sleep. I would say better than I've ever had before. I don't know exactly how many hours, but I've had a decent few hours of sleep during this fashion week.
You're a top model. To some people, you're an icon or a role model. What would you say is your profession today? How would you define it?
I'm just a dedicated 19-year-old refugee, migrated to Australia, found a passion for, modeling, worked hard to get to where I am, and I think I'm really just starting to find my voice and discovering who I am and who I want to be and what it is that I want to get across out there. So I'll just say that I'm just a Adut Akech. I'm a model. To some people, I'm a role model. To others, I'm an icon. To others, I'm a supermodel, whatever you want to call it. But to me, I'm just Adut Akech, doing what I love to do and speaking for what I believe in.
You mentioned it a few seconds ago. You grew up very far from cover of magazines or from runways. You were born in Sud Soudan, and then you grew up in a refugee camp in Kenya. Mm-hmm. And yet you say that some of your best memories come from the years you spent in Kenya? Yeah,
actually. Growing up in the camp, we were very young, so we didn't really know why we were there exactly. But, as kids, you kind of just enjoy yourself being a child. Some of the best memories were with my cousins and relatives and friends at the camp and, just being kids.
When was the last time you were afraid?
Last time I was afraid? Just before, a few hours ago, okay. When I was afraid that I was going to be late to this interview talk. Okay. And I was freaking out.
When did you leave Kenya?
I left Kenya in 2008.
You were 9 at the time?
I was 8, and then I turned 9.
You said something once, and it became a very famous sentence for you. You said, I'll always be
a refugee.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Everybody must tell you that, but can you just tell us why, even if you're on a runway, you feel special to that extent?
I think it's very important that I represent for refugees because, like I said, I will always be a refugee no matter where I get in life or my status or whatever it is. I'm proud of it. It's who I am. It's part of me, and it's nothing that I'll ever be ashamed of. And I just want people, refugees, to accept themselves and know that there is nothing wrong with them, even when the world looks at them differently and treats them differently. I just want them to know that they're just like everybody else. And I want to change, the world's perspective on refugees, and that we're just like any other normal human being that was born here in Paris or born in New York or born anywhere in the Western world. And we're capable of doing anything. And I use myself as a prime example, and that's why I stand strongly for refugees and, you know, to be a voice and a representative for them.
Do you feel that it makes you special or unique in a very glamorous world, which is fashion?
Being a refugee, does that make me special or unique?
Or to hold this heritage, to this past with you?
I think it definitely makes me unique, you know. Like I said, a lot of people often think that, you know, have a different view on refugees, and I think that I come from, you know, I don't come from a rich family or, you know, a really special background or anything. I grew up in a refugee camp and migrated to Australia, and I just decided to work hard and make something out of myself. So definitely being a refugee in this industry, in the position that I'm in today, definitely does make me unique and makes my story different to everybody else's.
As a kid, were you fascinated by fashion?
Yes, actually, when I was growing up in the camp, I really loved clothes. I loved dressing up and playing dress up. And when I went to Australia, it was still the same thing. Now I had access to more clothes, so it was even funner. And I had access to makeup. So I started falling in love with makeup too. And yeah, I think that's where my passion for fashion and modeling really came about, through clothes and makeup, and yeah.
And yet, I think that the first time somebody told you that maybe you should consider modeling as a career, you said, no, it's not for me. Or
I didn't object it. I would just hear it and unhear it, almost like, oh, yeah, cool. And then just didn't think anything of it. And
because what you did?
I was 12 at the time, actually, when my year 7 teacher, he was the one that really got the idea into my head. He would always say, you know, you should be a model when you grow up, because I was very tall, and I guess I stopped growing when I was 14. I've probably been the same height since then, but I was tall, and I guess I was model figure or whatever they say. And
what does that mean to you, you think, model figure?
To me, it doesn't really mean anything. You know, I think that anyone could be a model nowadays. But back then, that's what they used to say, you know. So I was the model figure, tall, slim, I guess long limb, whatever it means.
And can I say something I'm not like a specialist of this industry, but when I look at you walking on the runways, it seems like it's very easy for you to walk like a model, when it's not for some of the other models.
My walk, I'm self-taught. I taught myself how to walk, and for me, it kind of just comes naturally. And I think everybody has their own unique walk. I think it would be boring if we all walked the same. So yeah, you just have to find what way you feel most comfortable when you're on the runway, and I guess that's your walk, that's your signature walk. And
can we play a simple game?
Yeah.
I give you a name of persons,
okay,
and you tell me who they are to you and how they change your life.
Okay.
You cool with that?
Yes.
Naomi Campbell.
She is like a mother to me. She was the first family member I had when I first moved to New York. She's been by my corner since I first met her in 2017, and since then our relationship has grown a lot, and she's family to me. I look at her like a mother figure.
She was the first black top model to really blowing up the roof.
Yeah, she's not only is she like family to me, but growing up and wanting to model and things like that, she was my biggest inspiration.
Yeah, do you think, sorry.
Sorry, you go.
Do you think you owe her the idea that it was possible for you to be a model later, or?
Did I think it was possible for me to be a model?
Because of
Naomi, or when I saw like dark-skinned women walking? Of course. I mean, did I think I could make it in the modeling industry? I don't think at the time I did. But as, you know, I got into it more and more, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Whatever happens. But when I saw them, obviously, I was like, you know what? I could have a chance, you know. I did see a little representation, or saw myself when I saw them dark-skinned women in the industry.
I know you had posters of her in your room when growing up. Do you realize that now some young girls have posters of you in their room?
Have posters of me in their rooms? I mean, yes. It's crazy, you know. I don't really like to ever talk about myself, and I've never been the one to think of myself. I mean, I have to. Now I've learned to accept it that, yes, I am a role model and an inspiration to some girls, but it's just weird for me to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that little girls and boys look up to me the same way that I looked up to people like Naomi or, you know, other people that I looked up to growing up. What can I say? But it's an amazing feeling knowing that all the DMs that I get every day from, you know, little girls and boys.
How many do you have a day? Just to make me jealous.
A lot. That's all I'm gonna say. Just a lot. And you know, they're just some of the nicest, sweetest messages that really do help a person thrive more and more every time to want to do greater, and to, you know, having a little girl tell me that she finds herself beautiful, she wants to model because of me. I think that that's really special, and yeah.
Do you feel strong today?
Do I feel strong? Yes, I do. In what sense? In what way? Like just physically, emotionally?
Yeah.
Or do I think I'm a strong person? Or,
yeah.
Yes, I think I'm a very strong person. Yeah. You want me to elaborate on it?
No. So does it affect you when an Australian magazine gets an article of you, about you with the wrong picture on it? A picture of another girl?
Yeah, actually it did. That incident, I spoke out about it, and I said that I felt insulted and I felt disrespected, and it's just inexcusable and unacceptable under any circumstances. And it happens so often, but it shouldn't be happening, and it needs to stop. And
it had happened before. It had happened before.
Yeah, it's happened before. It happens so often. Not to me in that particular. It's not the first time I'm facing some sort of, I would say it's racism in Australia in general. But it's the first time I've had this happen with a magazine. So, but I know it happened to so many people, and it's just, doesn't matter who it happens to, it's just not okay, and it needs to stop. And, you know, I think that it's important when it happens to someone who has a platform or a voice or something, that it's important that they voice it out and speak about it, because this is a very important conversation that needed to happen. Not only like in magazines, but it happens even at shows. I get called by somebody else's name, another model get called by my name, you know, and why? We all look different. We all, even if there is some sort of similarities, I'm me, that person is that person, and it's just about, you know, people not being so narrow-minded, and it's disrespectful and insulting. It really is, and it needs to stop. The same thing happened this morning, actually.
Really?
A magazine.
A French one? No.
No, not a French one. It's one of the Vogues tags me in another model's video. And I actually said to them, do me and this model look alike? And they said, no, sorry. And I was like, if you know me, you will know that that isn't me. And then I asked them, have you ever used or mistaken Bella for Gigi before? And they said, no, we're sorry. You know, our colleagues, they were in a rush, and I said, that's no excuse. You're a publication. It is your job to make sure that you're fact-checking what you're posting. And that's my whole thing for publications, to make sure that they do that simple task of fact-checking. Don't be a publication. Don't post anything if you don't know what you're posting. Same goes for the entire industry, people that work in it, you know. So I think it's a very important conversation that needs to happen. And if I'm going to be the one to start that conversation, whether I get hate for it, whatever it is, I really don't care. Yeah.
I have a different name. Karl Lagerfeld.
Karl Lagerfeld. Oh, yeah, we went off task.
No.
Karl Lagerfeld, he is very special to me. From the first time I met him, he just, I don't know, I just felt the love. I felt acceptance from him. And I first met him at Fendi, and right after that show, I came to Paris and I did Chanel. He said, why haven't I seen her at Chanel? I came and I did Chanel, and since then, he let me open his Chanel shows, and I was his couture bride, and that was definitely one of the biggest highlights of my career.
Yeah, as you said, I think we have the image of that. You were among the
very... He's very, very special to me. He always made me feel like I was the most beautiful girl in the room. Whenever I would be in a room with him where there was a Chanel or Fendi, always made me feel so special. And I miss him a lot. When
was the last time you saw him?
The last time I saw him was in January before the couture show at the fitting.
How would you define him in one word?
He's a legend. What else? He's a legend.
Legend is a good word.
Yeah.
Another name, Adut Akech.
Adut Akech, oh God.
Who is she?
Adut Akech is the woman that gave birth to me as my mother, and without her, I would not be the person I am today. Not only because she gave birth to me, but just everything she taught me. So she is my whole heart. Adut Akech, I love you so much.
Has she ever been afraid to let you go in the big world of fashion?
Of course. I think every mother has, honestly. And she was very afraid because when I got exposed to the modeling industry, I was very young. And my mom's very big on education. One of the biggest reasons she wanted to move our family to Australia was so that we can go to school. And that's one of the biggest things I was looking forward to when I found out we were moving to Australia. So for my mom, education was education was first, you know, and she just wanted me to focus on my school. And then, you know, whatever I want to do, I can do later after school. But she got around it very fast and became very supportive and has been one of my biggest supporters. And without her, honestly, I don't think I'd be modeling today. I did get to a point where it was all too much. I was juggling school at the same time with traveling, and not a lot of people, relatives or just people in the community were very, you know, pleased with that and would be giving my mom a hard time about letting me travel at such a young age, letting me do modeling, because a lot of people in my community don't take modeling serious, and they don't think it's a serious career, and all we do is just walk around in front of people naked and this and that, you know, the craziest, you know, thoughts about modeling. So not everybody was happy about that, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna stop, I'm gonna finish my school, then go back to it, and that way everybody will be happy. And my mom was like, no. And that day I was like, no, should you not be happy then? I'm gonna stop this and focus on school. And she's like, no, because I know that you're capable of doing both. I had to prove myself to my mom that I can do school and modeling at the same time, and that's the reason why she let me do it. So she really believed in me that I'm capable of doing both, and she knew that this is something that I love doing and something that I'm passionate about, and that was the reason why she didn't let me stop. She said, if you stop today, I know you're going to regret it.
How important is family for you?
Family is everything to me. Very important. I grew up, you know, I have a very big family, and just in my community in general, we're like a big family. So I've always grown up around family. All I know is family, and yeah, it's everything to me. It's very important. I think without family, I don't know how to explain it, but it's the most important thing to me. I love my family with everything in me, and everything I do is to make my mom and my siblings and my family proud, and that's what gets me going every day, waking up every morning, and I'm like, I have to do this for my siblings and set an example for them that if they have a dream or they want to do anything in life, that they have to work hard for it, obviously, but, you know, to keep pushing and never giving up. And just make my mom proud, because she deserves the world, and she's done an amazing job raising us on her own. being a single mother, raising, like 7 kids on your own is not easy. And yeah, just want to make her proud.
How often do you get to see her?
I go home at least 4 times a year. Any time I get off, I just try to go home and see my family because I get homesick and I'm a mommy's girl. So I have to see my mom and my siblings.
You were born in South Sudan, you grew up in Kenya, then Australia. Now you travel all around the world. This week you're in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Where is home to you now?
Anywhere in the world that I am, I've learned to make whatever country or city it is, I've learned to make it home, Because it's very hard, always traveling on your own and missing your family and things like that. So I've just kind of, in my mind, told myself, you know what, I'm going to Paris. It's like my other home. I'm in New York. This is my home. So wherever I am, I just tell myself that this is home and just accept it for what it is. And so, yeah. So obviously, Kenya's home, Australia's home, New York is home, Paris is home, anywhere in the world is home. South Sudan will always be my first home. And yeah.
Has Paris a special place in your heart or what?
Yeah, actually Paris has a very special place in my heart. This is where my career took off. This is where I made my first debut, where I came out as Adut Akech. There behind me you see my first ever international show for YSL, and that was right here in Paris.
How did you react when you heard that you would be on the runway for Saint Laurent?
When I came to Paris, I didn't know whether I was going to do the show or not. I was just coming to see the team, meet Anthony.
It's a long trip to see.
Exactly, but you know what?
You flew right away from
Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in school. I was home doing my homework. My agent called me and said, maybe you're going to Paris on Friday. And I was like, okay, cool. And in my head, I was like, you know what? Whether I get the show or not, I got to go to Paris. And I can say that I got to go to Paris. So I came with that mindset, came here and I met the team. They were very lovely. I was having complications with my foot from the plane. And
yeah, can you expand on that? Because
you've heard about that.
Yeah.
Nobody told me like I have to wear compression stockings or I have to move when I travel. And that was the first big trip I did since I moved to Australia. That was, the first time leaving Australia. So I was just flying and my foot got swollen in the plane. And I didn't feel anything until I landed in Paris. And I went to my agency, go to see the team of Saint Laurent, and then went and spent 8 hours at the hospital. So that was my first day in Paris. Spent 8 hours at the hospital. But it was very painful, it was swollen, and I don't know what was wrong with it. I guess it was, I don't know, I'm not too sure. And I thought I was gonna get cut from, doing the show because of that. I couldn't wear shoes. Like, one foot was a 41 size and the other one normal size 38. So it was very hard. I couldn't wear my normal shoes. So that didn't make my, a couple of days very easy for me. Even for the show, actually, I was meant to have high heels. Yeah. And I was doing rehearsal and I just couldn't walk. I just remember collapsing on the floor and I started crying because I was like, shit, now I'm not gonna do the show. And I was very upset. I was like, I've gone through this pain for the last couple of days just to not do the show. And the casting directors came to me and, they comforted me and they said, it's okay, it's not your fault, we brought you here if there's anyone to blame. And my shoes got changed very last minute. So I ended up doing the show and that was probably one of the best moments of my entire life. My life changed from that very moment.
For the best? For the best,
of course, career-wise, yes.
Would you say now that you're living the life you dreamt of?
Yeah, yeah. Everything I'm doing now are things that I only dreamt of doing. Some I never even saw coming. So yeah, I'm definitely living a dream.
What are your dreams for now, for today, for the days to come?
I always try to set new goals for myself. And whenever I achieve a goal, I set a new goal. And some are personal goals that I don't like to share, and I just rather keep them to myself. But, you know, other personal goals outside of modeling that I don't mind sharing is things like, you know, I want to get more involved with working with the UN and you know, charities that help those in need of help. And I want to go back home to South Sudan and build a school or a hospital or something.
I've read that you were thinking of opening a model agency.
I would love to do that too. I think South Sudan has some of the most beautiful girls, and I just not seen or heard of just because there's no modeling agencies there.
It's so far from the runways.
Exactly, so that's something I'd love to do as well. And then career-wise, I'm just gonna keep working and see what other opportunities come my way. There's still photographers that I need to work, that I would love to work with, still shows that I would love to do, and you know, cool things that I still want to be a part of. And so we'll just see what happens.
Thank you so much, Adut.
No worries. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my interview talk, and I'll be back next time.
Let's go. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it. Walk it like I talk it. You walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Hey.